Disposing of the bodies of murder victims on or near a road has been done for hundreds, if not thousands of years. It's always been more difficult to trace a killer if the victim's body is dumped far from the scene of the crime. But there are also those who roam the roads looking for victims, someone in a broken-down car or in need of directions. Other killers lie in wait for unsuspecting travelers. In 1871, the Bender family set up a roadside inn in Kansas, then robbed and murdered their clients. Their crime spree ended in April 1873 after a man came searching for his missing brother. Infamous Murders examines 3 modern-day roadside killers. The first murdered at least 240 people. The second killed 14 teenage boys around LA. The third drove around the South and Midwest of America, killing. By the spring of 1980, the bodies of more than 20 people had been discovered beside Texas roads. Police from 18 different forces met to see if the murders had a common thread, but came to no real conclusion. 2 years later, Kate Rich, an 80-year-old widow, disappeared from her North Texas home. Henry Lee Lucas, a 46-year-old ex-convict, was brought in for questioning. Police also wanted to ask him about Becky Powell, his common-law wife who was missing. After 10 days in custody, Lucas confessed to murdering both women. He took police to where he had buried Mrs. Rich. After stabbing the elderly woman, he had tried to burn her body near his squalid shack. He decided to get rid of Mrs. Rich after she started questioning him about Becky's disappearance. Lucas told her Becky had hitched a ride on a truck going east, but Mrs. Rich didn't believe him. Sheriff Bill Conway of Montague County arrested Lucas and demanded to know where Becky's body had been dumped. Lucas said he would take him there. At the same time, police arrested Otis Toole, Becky's uncle, and an associate of Lucas. Lucas then confessed to a horrifying litany of murders, stretching over 21 years. Many of his victims were hitchhikers or young women whose cars had broken down. Police listened as the seemingly unrepentant drifter explained.
I hated them, and I wanted to destroy everyone I could find. And I was doing a good job of it.
He also confessed to a murder that had puzzled police since October 1979. The unidentified body of a young woman found in a ditch in Williamson County, naked except for a pair of orange socks. Lucas sat in jail as the police of at least 8 states investigated dozens of unexplained deaths. He began killing in 1960, when, at the age of 23, he stabbed his abusive mother. He was sentenced to 40 years in prison, but to his surprise was released after 10.
I told him before I ever left prison that I was going to commit crimes. Told him the type of crimes I was going to commit. And they wouldn't believe it.
It was now unclear whether Lucas had killed as many people as he claimed. But as Lucas made his first court appearance in August 1983, he had provided police with details on at least 240 murders. He took investigators to the scenes of his crimes. Even the most hardened policemen were shocked by his casual brutality.
Yes, I've had days where I just had to make myself go in there. I didn't feel up to it. I've had days when I've cut it short.
In October 1983, Lucas was taken to Denton County Court to hear the jury's decision. Judge Boyd read the verdict.
We, the jury, found the defendant Henry Lee Lucas guilty of the offense of murder as alleged in the indictment.
Lucas showed no emotion as he was sentenced to 75 years in prison. More murder trials and the death sentence followed. In the meantime, Lucas continued to help police locate the scenes of his many crimes. A California district attorney expressed his outrage.
And it almost defies belief that a person like this for 7 years can be out there without getting caught, pinballing around the country as he did, killing people almost at random in a recreational sort of way.
Lucas killed without reason or pity. The child of violent and abusive parents, he grew up putting no value on human life. He had spent time in reform school and prison before murdering his own mother in 1960. He showed no remorse.
Well, I've killed by strangulation, I've killed by knifings, I've killed by hit and runs, shootings, robberies, hangings, every type of crime, I've done it.
By the summer of 1998, Lucas was on death row.
Well, they've never given clemency here in the state of Texas yet, I don't think, so I don't think that they will now.
But he was wrong. Then Governor George W. Bush gave him a reprieve.
That if anybody is put to death in the state of Texas, we want to be certain that that person committed that crime.
Lucas died in prison from natural causes in March 2001. He was 64. 5 years earlier, another multiple murderer would pay the ultimate price for his crimes. After sitting on California's death row for 17 years, he was put to death. In March 1980, teenage boys began disappearing around Los Angeles. Their bodies soon began turning up. Each was sexually assaulted, strangled, and dumped by a road. By the end of April, 7 boys had been killed. All the police knew was that the victims had been murdered the same way. As the police scoured the Los Angeles roads for bodies, the killer delighted in the press coverage. He boasted to friends about what he'd done. It wasn't long before one went to the police, who began following him. In June 1980, the killer was arrested sodomizing a young man in his van. William Bonin was a 32-year-old Vietnam vet who was working as a truck driver. 5 weeks later, police also arrested 32-year-old Vernon Butts and accused him of acting as Bonin's accomplice in at least 6 of the 14 murders. Both men were charged. Butts, who later hanged himself in his cell, began naming other men involved in the murders. But as more bodies were recovered, it became obvious Bonin was the ringleader. One of his victims, David McVicker, escaped.
He, at one point, had my T-shirt around my neck, and he was trying to choke me. It was pretty bad. I thought I was going to die.
Bonin's murder trial began in LA in November 1981. 19-year-old co-defendant James Monroe gave his testimony.
I had told the boy, I says to him, I says, now look, I'm not going to hurt you. I said, I don't know what this man's going to do, but I'm not going to hurt you. I said, if you die, you tell the man upstairs I did not kill you.
A Los Angeles TV reporter said that Bonin had admitted his guilt.
I asked him point blank, I said, Bill, if you were still out in the street, what would you be doing right now? He said, I'd still be killing. Couldn't stop killing, he said.